What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Alex here from Team Generations, and today we're going to be discussing Best Girl Clarissa. If you guys have been following the channel for a while, you know that I love Narukami, and as such, all the Dragon Empire stuff. As such, when the Dragon Girls came to Lyrical, I said, you know what, we got to build it. So here we are, and I'm very happy with it in general. It feels like that old school Brawlers. Definitely kind of brings like a control kind of aggro feel to the game, something that was kind of lacking outside of Eugene before, and Eugene just didn't play that well overall. So very excited to bring you guys this list. I know that largely it has been solved. You might have even seen this list other places too, but I think in this deck profile, the real gem that you're going to take away from this is just like talking about different interactions, different matchups, timing of certain stuff, when to do things, when to not pull the trigger. So I've had a ton of games on this deck already. I've had some great results at locals, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to bringing it to you guys. So without further ado, let's hop right in. Alright, and before we begin, I just wanted to quickly mention that we do have a TCG player affiliate link down in the description below. If you're interested in purchasing any of the cards you see here today, you can do so by shopping through that link to help support the channel, absolutely no cost to you. Also, if you do enjoy the content, we ask that maybe you do leave a like on the video, possibly subscribe to the channel, really trying to hit that 1,000 subscriber mark, so thank you in advance. Now, without further ado, for real, let's go right into the ride line. So obviously I'm running the grade 0, just like to keep it on theme. The grade 1 is Series Challenger Clarissa, so basically one place you get to look at the top 7, and then from that, add a grade 1 or lower Earnescorrect card from the top 7 into your hand. Put the rest of the 6 cards onto the bottom of your deck. Make sure you give it to your opponent to shuffle too. I see some people not doing this. You don't get to like organize the order of those cards, so just really helps with consistency, getting some of the other extra cards out of the way for your grade 2, which basically does the same exact thing when you ride onto her. You basically go search the top 7, just add another Earnescorrect card. It's really important to have multiple copies of different Earnescorrect cards in your hand, so that way you can play them on field and get the maximum potential out of an order card. We'll go over in just a little bit. So it's second skill during your turn if you have no rear guards. This guy gets 5k. I forgot to mention that too for the grade 1. So you're really just not incentivized to rush down in this deck, which is, you know, a good and a bad thing. In a way, just more powerful swings, no big deal. But at the same time, you don't have to expend things from hand, so it is what it is. And then lastly, we have the boss unit of the deck. This is Earnescorrect leader, Clarissa. So her skill, auto when this unit is placed on Van by riding the grade 2. We get to counterblast 1, search our deck for up to one of the order cards, aim to be the strongest idol, reveal it and put it into our hand, and then we shuffle our deck. And then its second skill, auto on Van, when this unit attack hits, we get to draw a card, choose one of your rear guards with Earnescorrect in its card name, gets 5k until the end of turn. So a lot of hand advantage here, a lot of power just being distributed through multiple different effects across the board. This deck can get scary fast, scary quickly if your opponent is not ready for it, doesn't have the hand to guard. So really nice resource generation. It's nice too that you do get to search out that order card, because you do kind of always want at least 2 in hand. Never ditch the order card. We'll go over the order card in just a second. It'll all make a little bit more sense, but very good card, very powerful. Again, clearing your opponent's board. It's good for dealing with Bruce, you know, having those pesky units on the board if they don't have extra ones in hand, like Leonard, like Marjorie, things of that nature. This is good to kind of clear them out and really, you know, make them bleed for that shield value. So let's hop right into the main deck. I'll start with that order card in just a second. Okay, so I just zoomed in a little bit. I noticed that we could get a little closer to the card, so I've done that now. But here we are with the grade 3 order card, starting off with the main deck. This is a super important part of the deck, probably like the glue that really holds it all together. This is going to be aimed to be the strongest idol. So this on grade 3 is an order card that you can play if you have 5 or more units with Earnescorrect in their card names, different card names actually. And until the end of turn, all your units with Earnescorrect in their card names get an additional 5k. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, choose one of your Earnescorrect leader, Clarissa, basically your Vanguard, and it gets continuous on Vanguard circle. When this unit would attack, choose 3 of your opponent's Van or rear guard circles, and this unit battles all the units on those circles. So really important for clearing out a field, really important for generating your resources, because again, when you look at Clarissa's skill, you are able to get an additional 5k plus an extra draw every time it hits. So swinging at 3 rear guards, especially if they're not important ones that your opponent doesn't really have to guard out, they'll let them hit, they could really just net you that advantage that you need. So this is searchable off of Clarissa, off your first ride, but it's not from there. So I would say never discard this from hand. Like, I know sometimes you're like, oh, you know, it's not shield value. Maybe I could survive the next turn. If you survive the next turn, like, and you don't have this, and you know, you're kind of in like mid game, not the late game, like you're not gonna make anything impactful happen. Your turns are gonna kind of fall flat. So really conserve these as much as you can. I've learned that the hard way through a couple games. So really awesome card. Really helps you gain advantage in the game, power up your units. This with the Persona Ride is absolutely deadly. So really nice. Speaking of Persona Ride, we're going to go into the regular main deck now. So we are going to be looking at well, I guess everything is the main deck, but there's the main units now. This is going to be 3 more copies of Clarissa. Obviously, we want to go for the Persona ride here, getting that nice power columns, really making it difficult for your opponent to guard out multiple different things on their field. And of course, you still get those drive checks too. So, they might PG their Vanguard, but, they'll make it a 1 to pass, 2 to pass on some of the rear guards. Can still net you a lot of advantage. 2 cards for your, drive check, 2 cards hitting. That's still pretty big. So overall, very, very nice. You definitely want to see your Persona ride as often as you can. Typically, this deck wants to just hit the gas as soon as it can. I will say the only time you don't want to play the order first is if you're in the mirror match and you are going first because your opponent's not on grade 3. I think your opponent just will have a better tempo. Just conserve your hand, maybe just swing with Clarissa. Don't even commit your hand just yet, and it's really played out that way. Next up, obviously over here we are running this guy. This is going to be into the grade 2s now. We're not running any other grade 3s in this deck. So this is going to be Earnescorrect member Evelyn. So her skill, when this unit is placed on rearguard circle from hand, if your Vanguard is Earnescorrect leader Clarissa, you get to counterblast 1. Search your deck for up to 1 grade 2 or less card with Earnescorrect in its card name and reveal it. If we do not have a rearguard with the same card name as that card, call to an open rearguard circle, and then we shuffle our deck. So really nice to be able to just find that missing piece that we might have. This deck doesn't really run through too many counterblasts overall. There are times where you will kind of need it, but you could have a really successful turn with just 2 counterblasts kind of open, even just 1. This is really great too for just making sure that if you have if you have a full field, you can still thin your deck out by popping this counterblast and adding another card to hand. So really not too bad overall. It does have an 8k body, but with that extra 5k, it's at least threatening for a hit without being boosted, which most of the time you will want to boost. I'll go over kind of the boosting patterns a bit later, but overall, the 8k body doesn't bother me towards the late game, and you'll see just when you power up your units, it does not really matter too much. That's kind of the price that we have to pay, I guess, for having such a nice searching kind of card. But yeah, really decent overall. And again, you need to be maxing that out. And then next up, I do have this card in Hollow. I have a couple of these cards in Bling. I just literally haven't even had the time to sleeve them, but this is going to be Earnescorrect member Catalin. So her skill, this is a really nice multi-attacker. Auto on rearguard circle when the attack of Earnescorrect leader Clarissa on your Vanguard hits, counterblast 1, discard a card, and stand this unit. Now, the wording on this is hits, so it could hit a rearguard or a Vanguard. It doesn't have to hit their Vanguard specifically, which makes it really nice. I will say, just a tip with this card, if you don't have the order card, don't go for this with the first attack unless they have maybe 2 cards in hand, 3 cards in hand, whatever the case is. Typically they'll be able to block your Vanguard swing if it's just going to swing, not hitting multiple units. So the deck doesn't really get power kind of in their main phase outside of the order card really before that. So not too great, but that's the big hang up with this. Otherwise, swing early, especially if you're Persona riding. You have that the order card going. This really makes a really nice 5th attack. Or 4th attack, I'm sorry, 4th attack. You could technically play 2 of those and get a 5th attack off, but I usually don't go for that kind of play. Moving right along, this is the flex slot over here that I was talking about. I know a lot of people play the grade 2 card. I think it's grade 2 that basically bounces a unit back to hand. I've tried that. I honestly, if you have a lot of Lorna roll, a lot of Bastion, a lot of Bruce, you make these huge columns. You just kind of need this. A good player will kind of leave themselves at 4 damage, and even in the later game, just to kind of make sure that you have the ability to play this later on in the game and just not have it be a dead card in your hand. But I'm sorry, let me go over the effect. Vibrant Symphony. So grade 2 order card. If an attack hits your Vanguard this turn, choose one of your units being attacked, and it gets an additional 30k until the end of battle. So really not too bad. This is a pretty good blitz order. Lorna roll you cannot PG against, so of course you have to find other ways to kind of guard out. This deck in general does guard out, does generate a lot of resources, so typically you will have decent shield value in your hand. In culmination with this card, I feel like it could really slow up Lorna roll's kind of game plan, and overall is just a necessary card. I really think that this is the better choice over that other grade 2, but you could use that grade 2 if you wanted to preserve some more of your units. Totally up to you. Again, just adjust to your local meta, just see what's really happening for you. But again, this is definitely my choice. Moving on then to the grade 1s. This card is really nice actually. This is going to be, let me just order that up right here. There we go. This is going to be Earnescorrect supporter Tribly. So her skill, auto on rearguard circle when your Vanguard attack hits, you get an additional 5k. So if your Vanguard hits 3 times, she gets 15k, because that's an auto. It's not a continuous or something. Every single time it hits, boom, 5. 3 hits, like I said, 15k on that, 20k booster, plus Maybe you had a persona ride, so there's an additional 10k in that row. You have the order card going off. This could be a very easily be a 25k base kind of booster. And on top of that, like your Clarissa also gives out another 5k, so you have a lot of option to give out power in various different ways, and really puts a lot of pressure on your opponent if they know how to play against this deck. They don't want to get this guy being too big. They'll really guard out. So just a nice card overall. I really do actually like this card a lot, and obviously we are running it out of 4 because it has Earnescorrect in its name. And then next up over here is lucky enough to pull an SP out of one of my tournament packs. There we are. This is going to be Earnescorrect supporter Leona. So, auto on rearguard circle. When your other rearguard with Earnescorrect and its card name is retired during your opponent's turn, if this unit is on rear, we get to Soul Blast 1, discard a card from our hand, and then put that retired card into our hand. So this doesn't really get around prison, which is annoying because they're not retiring it, they're just imprisoning it, which I think is a different verbiage, so it doesn't really count. But at the same time, if you have other things crashing into columns, retiring it, you want to get them back to hand, you don't have another copy of it, this is definitely a nice way to do that. Overall, I think that this just makes the deck a little bit more resilient. It just tells your opponent, don't swing at my rear guards as much. Like, it's not going to do as much for you. So totally up to you if you wanted to pop this or not. You can kind of throw them off, pretend that you don't have another card in hand, still activated skill. So yeah, just good, consistent. Again, has that Earnescorrect name in it, so you need it pretty much out of 4 of right here. And then lastly, in the main deck over here, outside of triggers, we are looking at 4 perfect guards. So no surprise here, perfect guards are good. Perfect guards are kind of needed. Obviously, you can't use them against Lauren Roll, but other decks like Bastion still exist, things of that nature. So you really do need to have guard against some really, really big columns. So this does it for us. Nothing else to really say there. So moving right along, I will hop into the triggers now. So for the trigger lineup, pretty simple as well. This deck almost builds itself. I feel like there's just like some fine points of playing that you kind of get used to, and obviously the flex thought with that grade 2 order card. But we're gonna run 8 crit total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We are gonna run only 3 fronts over here, and we are gonna run 4 heal, 1 over trigger. So I don't think it's any surprise. We want to run the over trigger. Over triggers are good. You can run any art that you want. 4 heals are great. Fronts are good. Fronts are good in this deck because you are swinging with your Vanguard sometimes first. You can restand a rear guard that also swung, so just very impactful overall. But this is Overdress. Crits end games. Crits just really close them out. And unless you have a deck that's like super, super, super key piece reliant that doesn't have the searching capability that this deck has, I think that you should pretty much be running max crit all the time. So very excited to show you guys like a little test hand of this. It's not too difficult at all. Just a nice kind of gameplay overall. I think that if you are newer to the game and you want to get into like a pretty competitive deck, this is like definitely a decent one to go with, and it's not too expensive overall. So yeah, without further ado, let's hop right into that test hand. Alright, so I set my starter out and let us then shuffle up our deck just to show that I do completely random test hands as always. Also, just a quick note, we do have in November, I think it's going to be November 23rd or 16th, something like that. I'll post the details down below or flash them across the screen or whatever. Our locals is actually going to have a case tournament for this, so if you're in the New York, kind of Long Island, Jersey, maybe even Connecticut area, I think it's 6:30 we're going to start. It's $40 per person, we're capped out at 40 people. We are going to be giving away a case essentially in this tournament, so winner gets half the case, I believe. On top of that, the second, third, kind of so on and so forth. There's different pricing. I'm sure I'll link the post down below so you guys can see the exact details, but should be a good turnout. It is $40 per person, but I think if we get a certain amount of people, it might be a little bit cheaper. On top of that too, we normally have about 10 to 16 kind of players at our locals, so we do have a good turnout in general. So we might, for like Digimon and stuff, I know we kind of hit a cap last week for like the regional store regional. We might get a lot of people for that, so stay tuned. So I put back the 2 triggers. Obviously I put back the over trigger. Our hand's okay at this point, not too bad. We do have 2 of hers, so maybe I can ditch one. Maybe it'd be good to kind of hold on to it. So let's just shuffle up again. Let's see what we get. Should hit most of our, it's very rare that you don't have all 5 pieces of Earnescorrect or Exodia by your grade 3 turn. Alright, so let's stand and draw now. For our turn, we're going to pretend we go first. Got another trigger. Kind of sucks, but I might honestly ditch the trigger a little bit early on here, just because, we like to take some early damage, get at least like two kind of counter blasts for our first grade 3 turn, pass it, go on to grade 1, and then we're going to look at the top 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we do hit, we do get the Earnescorrect. Leona right there. Oops, I'm not gonna shuffle that down at the bottom, sorry. See, let's pay attention. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, this is still 6. Shuffle those up, shuffle them, and then give them to your opponent because they technically do have to cut still. Cut, all right. Put it to the bottom of our deck to help us with consistency later on. And then we are going to pass it over to our opponent. Let's take a damage for their turn, boom. Okay, stand and draw for my turn. We only kind of need one of her, so I might actually ditch this copy, which is not like a huge deal. And then we're going to ride into the grade 2. From the grade 2, we get to search again the top 7, which is really nice. So let's find a grade 2 or less Earnescorrect card. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Don't do like I'm doing during tournament. If you grab like an arbitrary amount, always count from the top. So we do find a grade 2 or less. Let's see. Yeah, it's just this one. Right? Yeah, just that one. So we're going to add her to hand. Oh. Almost did it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. Shuffle, shuffle. There we are. All right. Put it to the bottom of our deck. Oops. Okie doke. Now let's swing for our turn here. Gets an extra 5 again because we don't have anything else. Drive check. Nothing. All right. Over to our opponent then. We're going to take 1 damage. All right. Since we didn't get a trigger, we're going to say we take 1 more. And we do heal out. So I guess, it doesn't really matter. Can't really recur stuff. So let's just heal out anything. Boom. Okay. We're going to stand and draw for our turn now. There we go. So I do have a Persona Ride. I have no other orders in hand, which is actually really not good. We do want at least, at least one by the time we get to this point. Maybe we'll get one here. So let's see. What do we want to ditch? I didn't really organize my hand too well, so let me just glance over it real quick. We do have 2 of her, but you could search stuff. So we do kind of want her. Have I revealed any other? Nah, so let's actually just do this. You don't want to start ditching multiples of the same copy, even though I can go and search her. If they get rid of her, just not a great thing. So let's just ditch her, and then let's go find our grade 3 over here. We are then going to counterblast 1 to go search the order. Right. Oh, right at the bottom of the deck, of course. There we are. Shuffle, shuffle. There we are. Okay. So in the mirror match, obviously, I would suggest not putting things down, but since we're not in the mirror match, I don't know. If I had another one of these in my hand, I would push a little bit harder. Typically, you always just want to go for it, even if, like, they're not on grade 3, but I don't know. Without another one in hand, it's kind of tough. Let's just see what we can pull off here. Let's go here. CB1. Let's get another card right here. Let's go. Yeah, let's get her. Okay. Go. Yeah, whatever. Let's just commit the field. I'm not going to play the order though. I don't feel confident enough. I need to have that order next turn because I'm going to have the Persona Ride. So let's just see what happens. Actually, I'm going to do this over here. But let us swing. I'm going to swing with my Vanguard first. I don't have an open counterblast for that. This is just going to be 13 plus 8, 21. So first check, second check, boom, heal trigger, which is actually pretty decent at this point. I think we should have out damaged, had more damage than our opponent at least. So pop that away. We are going to say, if it did hit, boost these guys up, whatever it is, like 10k, 13, just a basic turn. Again, if you wanted to swing, if they're on grade 2 first, if you want to poke with these guys, then swing with that. It is what it is. If it did hit, let's just say we drew a card off of that. Cool, we got another heal trigger. Let's pass it over to our opponent, and let's start taking damage for their turn 1. Oh no, Persona Ride gone. 2, let's guard out. I think I have 2, so I don't really need, guard 1 poke. Guard another. Let's say I guard. Boom, like that. Let's say I guard. It did take damage this turn. Yeah, pop that down. Whatever. I think that's enough for just one turn. Let us stand up over here and draw. Okay, so we are going to Persona Ride here. Oops, that wasn't the Persona Ride. There we are. Persona Ride, draw off the Persona, so 10k to the front row, which is pretty nice. I'm going to play the order card, and I'm kind of lucky I did hold on to it because, whoops, I'm going to actually play her first. And then pop this down, counterblast 1. Going to search out another one of the grade 1. I just added to hand, but that's fine. I'm going to put it on the field anyway. Let's shuffle my deck. Overtrigger's still in deck, which is really nice. Alright, let's see. What else do I want to do? I had 2 damage open, right? I don't know why one's flipped. I had 2 damage open. Maybe I didn't, but it doesn't really matter. Boom. Popping that down right there. I'm going to give everybody the +5. It's up to me what I want to do at this point. It's a 1 card to guard right now. If I swing, because it's going to be 25, 5k from the order card, 10k from the persona ride. Yeah, I'm going to do that, 25k, just a poke. And then boom, this is going to be, what is this, 31? This is going to be, I believe, 41, right? Yeah, 41k column. So we're going to swing, choosing 3 of their units. So let's say 2 of them hit, but let's just drive check 1. Crit power here. 2. Ooh, another crit. That's really, really nice, actually. And then we are going to counterblast 1 and stand this guy up. I think we discard a card from hand too. Discard a card. What do I want to discard? Discard a copy of the same thing because I can kind of get it back with her next turn if I wanted to. So then we're going to restand her. We're also going to draw 2 cards off of that, and then we're going to, oh no, we drew the over trigger. We are going to delegate the extra 10k power. I'm going to do 5/5 here. Then we swing. Again, these columns are pretty huge at this point. This is an extra 10 plus the 5. This is a 20k, 10, 18 plus a 5. 10, 18 is 5, it's 23 plus 20. This is a 43k column. This is 10, 15, 25, 25 plus another 5 is 30, 30 plus, what is that? Another 10k here. Yeah, it's a 40, 45 or 40k, something like that. Anyway, that's kind of the gist of the deck overall. Like, there's really nothing to kind of keep going over and over with. If you guys are interested, we do have some playtesting videos of Clarissa on the channel. I could show you, obviously, those as well. You can go and check out if you want to see it in action, but that's really the general gist. Just hold, conserve, know when to play. I think that if you have multiple orders of that grade 3, even if they're not on grade 3, like, still pop that down on your first grade 3 ride. Like, make them feel the heat. Like, it's tough to kind of get over some of those bigger numbers, especially if you're having 10k in a column. Just a quick note, don't put her behind the Vanguard. Her, you always kind of want to put behind the Vanguard. Just makes a sweeter number overall, a little bit harder to guard, and she's not going to see the hit benefit from Clarissa's kind of skill there. So awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys do have any questions, let me know down below. Again, this is Alex from Team Generations signing out.